I start by the name of Allah. I praise Allah and I humbly ask Allah Ta'ala to raise the rank of Prophet Muhammad and protect his nation from that which the Prophet fears for it. I ask Allah Ta'ala to grant us a sincere intention, the proper comprehension, to increase our knowledge, and to admit us to paradise without torture. So I remind you, dear sisters, to have a sincere intention in your heart. Inshallah ta'ala, we will continue with the chapter that we had started, which is talking about the sins of the tongue. We have few more points that we want to mention. So among the sins of the tongue is to laugh at a Muslim when one passes gas. Subhanallah, even this matter, the scholars mentioned in their books, even this example, that it is sinful to do that, to laugh at a Muslim who passes out gas. You know, this might happen unintentionally. And we need to teach our young children not to laugh when this happens from a Muslim, because often when children laugh, you know, this might hurt this other, their fellow classmate, for example, or their friend. It might hurt them. So it is important to teach young children not to do that. I will mention to you here a short story that is narrated about a knowledgeable scholar who lived many, many years ago. Because of what happened to him in this incident that I will mention to you, he was later on called the deaf, even though he was not deaf, but he was later on referred to as the deaf. Okay, Hatem al-Asam. What happened is that he was in a place and a woman entered and she wanted to ask him about a matter. However, when she was talking, gas went out and it made a noise and she felt very embarrassed. Okay, she was very uncomfortable. So then when she asked him, he pretended he wasn't hearing her. So he did so as if he could not hear her. So she raised her voice even more, and he pretended that he was still not able to hear her. And she raised her voice even more until she felt comfortable. She thought, then he did not hear, you know, what came out of her. She felt then comfortable that he did not hear that. So subhanallah, by this act of his pretending that he could not hear her, he made her feel comfortable, that not to feel shy or uncomfortable about what happened with her. So later on, he was referred to as al-asam, meaning the deaf, even though he was not deaf. Also, among the sins of the tongue is to degrade the Muslim, okay, to degrade the Muslim unjustly. Like, for example, because this other Muslim is of a lesser social status. And some people might do that. Some people have arrogance and they might degrade this other Muslim if he or she is of a lesser social status. So we are not to do that. You know, this is not what our beloved Prophet ﷺ taught us. Also, among the sins of the tongue is to withhold the obligatory knowledge of the religion from the person who requests it. So let's say a person learned the personal obligatory knowledge, and another person is asking this one to teach it to him. Okay, and it is obligatory knowledge of the religion, and there's no one else there to teach him. Then this person has to teach him. He is not to withhold that knowledge, because we are talking about the obligatory knowledge of the religion. And we said there's nobody else there to teach that to him. Then in this case, this person who learned it is to teach it to the one who is requesting it. Okay. Also, among the sins of the tongue is to neglect returning the salam when it is obligatory on one to return it. Okay, so to neglect returning the salam when it is obligatory on one to return it. So when is it obligatory to return? What do we mean here with salam? We mean if a person says assalamu alaikum. Okay, now when is it obligatory to return this? They said it is an obligation to return the salam when an accountable Muslim salutes, meaning says assalamu alaikum, to a specific accountable Muslim of the same sex. So, accountable female says the salam to another accountable Muslim female, or an accountable Muslim male says assalamu alaikum to a specific other accountable Muslim male. In this case, this other person has to return the salam. Now, a person might ask, well, what if a man says the salam to a female or vice versa? They said they are permitted to answer if they do not fear fitna. Okay, they can answer if they do not fear fitna. Okay. As if a person enters a room and there are many people and he says assalamu alaikum, it's enough if one person returns the salam. Okay, it doesn't mean that everybody now in this room has to return the salam. So if one person returns the salam, it is enough. Also, among the sins of the tongue is to withhold testimony without an excuse after being summoned to testify. So this person was called to testify, then in this case, he needs to go and testify about a particular incident that he was a witness of. Okay, so he was summoned to testify, then in this case, he is not to withhold testimony. Also, among the sins of the tongue is for the person who is engaged in performing Hajj or Umrah to kiss lustfully, meaning this person is still engaged in the actions of Hajj or Umrah. Okay, they are not done with the performance. They are still engaged in the acts of Hajj or Umrah. In this case, they are not to kiss lustfully. Kiss whom? We're talking about here a man with his wife, okay? We're not talking about the person whom one is anyways not allowed to kiss. No, we're talking about husband and wife. So when the husband or the wife is engaged in the acts of Hajj or Umrah, in this case, they are prohibited from kissing lustfully. Okay, similarly, it is prohibited to kiss lustfully while fasting, an obligatory fast, if one fears ejaculation, if one fears that one might emit mani. In this case, while fasting, one does not kiss, the husband, his wife, lustfully while fasting. And also, among the sins of the tongue is, of course, to kiss those whom one is not permitted to kiss. So, of course, this is prohibited. So here I draw your attention to the fact that cousins, they are not the male cousin with his female cousin, they are ajnabi to each other, okay? So they are not allowed to kiss each other. I'm talking about the adults, I'm not talking about the little children, right? So they are not allowed to do that because some people say, oh, but they are cousins, they are family. Yes, they are cousins, they are family, but this is the religious ruling because cousins are marriageable to each other, okay? And sometimes we hear some people say, but this boy and this girl, they were raised with each other. They knew each other since they were little kids, but now they are adults and they are not mahram. And so they are ajnabi towards each other, even if they knew one another since they were children. If they are ajnabi, they are not permitted to kiss each other.